Okay. Can everyone hear me? Nice. Okay, so hi, I am Alastair, and I am a software engineer at Canonical. And today I'm going to present how you can get OpenSearch plus infrastructure running on your laptop in under 5 minutes. So before I start, I'm going to give you a bit of context. So most people here have probably heard of Canonical because of Ubuntu. Hands up, who has used Ubuntu in this room? Not bad. Okay, so Ubuntu has been one of the most successful ever Linux distributions, and there are several good reasons for that. The main one being that it is open source, and therefore free to use, and then so everyone can use it. And the second one being that it not only is open source and easy to get hold of, but it is easy to use. So when Ubuntu sort of appeared on the scene, it was around like 2004, and Linux was very much a niche thing that only people who like really knew what they were doing could use. And Ubuntu changed that. It made it possible for anyone to install Linux on their laptops and to be guided through the process, making it like easy to not only have it running, but also to build stuff on top of it. So the kind of like philosophy behind Ubuntu is that you shouldn't need to worry about the operating system on your laptop. You shouldn't need to worry about getting Linux running. You should be able to just do whatever cool stuff you want to do on your laptop or on your like, more complex server or whatever with this software. And that's kind of like what drew me to Ubuntu and Canonical in the first place. So this image is a really cool one because it's from 2019 when they got the first ever picture of a black hole. And this is actually a screenshot from a documentary inside the like mission control of that project. And as you may be able to tell, on that computer, they are using Ubuntu. And this is like exactly what Canonical stands for. The idea that people can do really cool stuff like this without having to worry about the, software making it happen, or at least on the low level. So yeah, this is kind of why I joined Ubuntu, Canonical, and what I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about open source and making software accessible for people and easy to use. So why am I telling you this? So the landscape of like software has changed a lot since 2004 when Ubuntu came on the scene. Nowadays, the problem isn't so much getting hold of software. There's a lot of open source software out there. Obviously, OpenSearch is open source. There's tons of like whatever problem you want to solve, there's usually some open source version of some software that you can use to solve that. The problem isn't getting that software. The problem is running that software. It's not always the easiest thing in the world to take that blob of source code that you've got from online or whatever and make it do the thing that it's supposed to do, to actually run the software, to maintain it, to like scale it up, like upgrade it, back it up, all of that kind of stuff. So for example, say you want to like support run OpenSearch with like a machine learning cluster or something like that. You've got to integrate OpenSearch with all the sort of machine learning stuff. You've got to worry about scaling it up to the size you need it. You've got to worry about how exactly it's running, like upgrading it, all these things. And it's not an easy thing. You need to like be an expert in OpenSearch and all these other components that make up this thing to actually get this running. And that's quite a big barrier, right? Like to actually do what you want to do, you've got to kind of learn a ton of stuff, which is a cool process, but it'd be kind of cooler if you were able to just like make it happen, And this was a problem that Canonical anticipated. So when you have these like massive systems, you have all this sort of like connected graph problem where you got every single new thing added has to be connected to all the other things, and it's just a huge amount of work. So there's a project at Canonical called Juju, and the idea of Juju is to effectively solve this problem and make the operations code for your apps part of, like, basically codify it. So make that open source too. So I'm just gonna, this is what I'm gonna talk about today. So first of all, what is Juju? What does it do? What are the charms that allow it to run applications? And then I'm going to go through a demo of actually deploying OpenSearch with Juju. So setting it up, deploying it, and then setting up like the TLS certificates, and then scaling it up as well, all on your laptop. And then I'm going to talk a bit at the end about community and how you can get involved, because all this stuff is open source. And the more people who know about it and the more people who want to help, the better it becomes. So, yeah, what is Juju? What does it do? So Juju codifies operational knowledge. So that means the DevOps knowledge that you need to actually run the application is turned into Python code, which is managed by Juju to allow you to automatically do things like scaling up your software, backing up your software, upgrading it, observability, and other things like that that are not just like deploying it, but also keeping it running, keeping it alive, and like making sure that that software is useful in your larger scale applications. So if this works, then it's a great thing for everyone, for users, because they can suddenly deploy their apps far more easily, for the maintainers of the software, because their users can use their software far more easily. And not only that, they also have a sort of standard way of deploying it. People can just use this sort of codified knowledge to deploy the app. The maintainers don't need to worry anymore about like one like little startup that is doing it some totally weird way, and every time that they update the product, it breaks everything for them, and they have a massive headache. And you've just got users doing like whatever they can, sort of conflicting advice, things like that. If there is a sort of codified canonical way to do it, then that is just like ideal for everyone. So yeah, Juju makes it easy for even people like me, who I actually work at Canonical on Juju itself rather than on OpenSearch, to deploy OpenSearch. So I can do it with Juju despite not being an expert in it. The way that Juju actually works is you start by like installing the Juju CLI app on your computer. So like snap install Juju, and then you can use that to bootstrap a Juju controller in the cloud. One thing, the cloud can be AWS, it could be Azure, or it could be a local cluster of VMs on your laptop, or it could be a bare metal like set of genuine machines that are sitting there and controlled with like MAS or something like that. Juju integrates with quite a lot of different types of cloud. It can also be like OpenStack or something, so like a private cloud as well. The idea is you provide the cloud, and then Juju allows you to use it. And yeah, we're quite proud that we are compatible with a huge number of popular clouds today. So yeah, the controller is installed on the cloud, and that can be a Kubernetes cloud as well. So if it's a Kubernetes cloud, that controller is going to be in a pod, or if it's a VM cloud or a machine cloud, it's going to be on the actual machine. And that is the piece that actually sort of oversees your whole sort of estate of applications and software on the cloud. That will be running in one VM, and then you have your app and the charm, which runs alongside it. The charm controls the app with like this. The charm is what contains this like codified knowledge. So it contains the instructions to install the app, to scale it, to do all these things. The charm receives instructions from the controller, which in turn receives instructions from you on the command line, and then it configures the app to do what needs to be done, i.e. installing it or whatever. Yeah, so the charms are open source. They're written in Python, and we have quite a large selection of charms out there that have been made already and work really well. So there's loads of stuff like databases, reverse proxies, like observability stuff, and you can integrate these charms to work together. So if you have some like big software, some like thing you want to make, you can put together the components. If they've been defined to work together, then you can simply do juju relate, and that will join the two components together, and they will have been told how to actually work together via the charms. And yeah, it's really, really seamless and really cool when it's working well. So yeah, demo time. I'm going to show you actually deploying OpenSearch with Juju. Now, initially, when I was going to do this talk, my plan was to do a genuine live demo. I since realized that that is quite a dangerous thing to do, especially on my laptop, which isn't particularly powerful, running like multiple VMs whilst trying to present at the same time. I decided in the end it was going to be a bit too much of a risk. So I've kept it simple, and I've taken screenshots of the command line. If anyone would like to see this demo actually running, to let me prove to you that it's real, come see me at the Canonical stand, which is just over there, afterwards, and I will show you. So yeah, I'm going to use as the cloud here. Earlier I said, yeah, you can use like AWS, or you can use any private cloud, public cloud, or machine cloud, or whatever. I'm going to use LXD, which is a container orchestrator and virtual machine manager that comes pre-installed with Ubuntu. And this is, yeah, so this will basically, Juju integrates with this, and the LXD instance is what sort of worries about creating the VM and provisioning it, and then it sort of hands the details of it over to Juju, and then Juju can use that to install OpenSearch on. The first command, sudo snap install Juju. So this is installing the Juju CLI program, and yeah, it's as simple as that. It's installed via a snap, so it's containerized. So if you do need to remove it from your system, it's like super easy. You just remove it and it's genuinely gone, unlike with apt packages or whatever, where you do a purge and then you still don't know if it's actually gone or not. And because LXD is pre-installed with Ubuntu, I don't need to install that separately. As in this, this demo is running on Ubuntu 22.04, but it would work exactly the same on any of the more recent versions. So yeah, we install the snap, and then we can use Juju Bootstrap to install the Juju controller on the cloud. So where it says localhost there, that's referring to the LXD cloud that is on the system. Juju recognizes that as localhost. So we're saying Juju Bootstrap localhost OpenSearch demo, which is the name of the controller we want to install. We run that command, we get this lovely piece of output. As you can see, like halfway down there, there's the IP address of the controller. So this command will probably take like, 30 seconds to run or whatever, because it is starting a VM on your system, waiting for that to appear, running configuration scripts on it to get it into the state that Juju needs it in. And yeah, we can see the IP of the controller there. Now, Juju is telling us next we want to add a model. So a model is basically a thing that contains the thing we want to run. So for example, the machine learning system that involves OpenSearch as part of it, that is in the model. And the model is made up of multiple applications. So the controller can have multiple models, and the models can have multiple applications. And yeah, so we do Juju add model OpenSearch, because we are just running OpenSearch in this model. Maybe if we were running something bigger, we'd give it a different name, but we just have one thing here. So we add that model, and then, so we need to set the some system kernel parameters. If you've installed OpenSearch manually, you'll be familiar with this stuff. So it's to basically get OpenSearch running in the best possible state. We need to set the swap to be off, which is another reason that I didn't want to run this demo on my laptop live, because that just makes it extra dangerous. Yeah, so we run that, and that sets it on the host machine, because if we're running these VMs directly on the laptop, it needs to be set both on the host machine and also on the VMs themselves. So the next thing we do is run this little script that sets these kernel parameters in the machine itself. The Juju model config command basically puts this little script and tells Juju to run it at the start of every machine that it creates, it'll run the script and set the kernel parameters in the VM. Now we do Juju deploy OpenSearch, and then this is telling Juju to get the OpenSearch charm from Charm Hub, which is where these charms are stored. And the version we're getting is, well, that's the latest one. You can use this channel syntax, which is taken from snaps, actually. And that'll specify the edge is like the sort of unstable latest version, because this is still, yeah, the OpenSearch charm is still very much under active development and like an ongoing project. So the latest one does have all the cool features in it and hopefully isn't broken, kind of thing. Yeah, so we install the charm by doing Juju deploy. It tells us it's deploying it. The deployment process takes a while because it's got to provision a VM and all that kind of thing. So we can do Juju status to see the actual, like, what's going on inside Juju, and then we can do watch on that to look at what exactly, to watch it change over time, basically. So if you do it straight away, you'll see something like this. So you've got several different sort of headings there. The model, which is the whole thing, like the multiple applications, the app itself, which is OpenSearch, and then each app has multiple units. So units are like replicas, basically. So when you have a highly available OpenSearch, then you want multiple replicas of that OpenSearch instance. One of them will be the leader. The other ones will be like the backup ones. We've only got one unit at the moment, but later on I'll show you how you can scale it up. And then the last one is the machines, and that's referring to the actual like VM itself. So we have this machine which should be Ubuntu 22.04, and currently it's pending, so it's not appeared yet. But Juju is waiting for it to appear, and if we wait a second, we get the IP address has appeared, and we're still waiting for the machine. And then it goes to maintenance, and admittedly my color scheme on my terminal is not great here, but you can probably just about make out in the message section. It says installing OpenSearch there, and the machine, so that's basically saying the VM is up, and the charm is installing OpenSearch on it right now. So we've done that, and it's gone to a state saying blocked. And that is telling us that the charm is blocked on something external. We need to do something to allow the OpenSearch installation to continue. And if we look at the message, it says we are waiting for the TLS to be fully configured. So that means we need to somehow figure out how to get the TLS configured. And luckily, there is a charm for that. So the TLS certificates operator charm is basically a centralized way of managing your TLS certificates. You have this charm, which you can integrate with Juju, and then the two charms communicate, and the OpenSearch charm will request from the TLS charm a certificate. The TLS charm will return that certificate to the OpenSearch charm. That all happens behind the scenes. It takes care of renewing the certificate when it runs out as well. So once you set it up, it's kind of like something you don't need to worry about anymore. So we deploy this operator and watch to see what is happening. And as you can see, OpenSearch still blocked. TLS certificates operator is waiting for this new machine to be allocated. That happens, and now the TLS certificate operator also says blocked. And that is because we haven't yet configured for it the type of certificate we want it to generate. We tell it we want it a self-signed certificate from it, and then we relate the two charms. So we tell, this is the point where we tell OpenSearch that there exists this TLS certificates operator that will give you a TLS certificate. Once those two things know about each other, everything else is taken care of. So we do that, and now we go back to the status, and we can see that the OpenSearch is unblocked. And under the message, if you can just about make it out, it says initializing the security index. Yes. So that's OpenSearch has now got the TLS certificate and is continuing the setup. And we wait a bit more, and it's gone back to blocked. So it says one or more replica shards are not assigned. Please scale your application up. So despite this being blocked, the app is actually running right now. So if we go down to, if we go back to the command line, we can now have a go at actually connecting to the OpenSearch instance, which is out there running on your machine in this VM. To do that, we need to get the credentials for the OpenSearch instance. We do that with another charm called the data integrator. The data integrator is basically like an identity management charm that if you have like multiple databases for your application or even just one database, this manages setting the passwords for it, even like renewing the passwords when they expire or you want to reset them. It's all done through the data integrator charm. So we deploy that charm and do Juju watch to watch it getting deployed. And now it's blocked and it's asking to be related to something because this charm is kind of useless on its own. It needs to be related to a database. Incidentally, this charm is one that works with all like the different databases that we have charms for. So like MySQL or Kafka or Postgres or whatever. And we do, there we go, Juju relate data integrator to OpenSearch. And we can go back to watching it. And there, the data integrator is no longer blocked. The OpenSearch is in the same state before. And now we can get the credentials from the data integrator to actually access OpenSearch itself. And we get this big block of text, which is the actual certificate itself, along with the password and username, which are just up the screen. Oh, I think the username's down at the bottom. But we save those to a file. And there I'm just proving that they are in that file, the demo.ca.pem. And now we can actually do the curl to send a GET request to the OpenSearch API. This is like a bit of a mess of a URL because it includes the password and the username and the raw IP of the OpenSearch instance. But we're sending this request to the plain /endpoint, which should just return a sort of version information like blob of JSON to prove that we have our OpenSearch instance up and running. Yeah, so we've got that running. Now we could populate this with some data. We could, try it out. But I'm going to go straight to showing you how to scale it up because I've only got so much time, and that's the coolest thing I think about Juju. And there's other things as well, but I like the fact that it's completely automated. So it's still blocked, asking us to scale it up. Go back to the command line. Simply run this command, Juju add unit OpenSearch -n2, and that's telling us to add 2 new units to OpenSearch, i.e. 2 new replicas for the node that we've got. And we run it, and then we can go back to the Juju status, and we see that we've got 2 new machines at the bottom, 2 new units under OpenSearch, both of which are waiting for a machine. We then wait, and they start installing OpenSearch. And then eventually we have all the units. It's all active. Everything is integrated. We have a 3-node OpenSearch cluster. And we can prove it by going and sending a GET request to the cluster /health endpoint. And that should return a nice info piece of JSON saying that we have 3 nodes and we have 0 unassigned shards and that the status is green. So we have our OpenSearch instance scaled up to 3 nodes. And that is the end of the demo. How you would run OpenSearch on your laptop very quickly in hopefully under 5 minutes. The cool thing about this demo is because I'm sure you're all thinking I could run OpenSearch on my laptop in 1 minute using Docker or something like that. But that would be running OpenSearch in a way that is not really not the same as you would do it on the cloud. When you run it on your laptop in 2 minutes, it's very cool, but then you try and run it on production and it takes you 5 days. And the cool thing about Juju is the way that you deploy it on your laptop here is the same way that you would be deploying that on the actual production instance. So if you were doing it on the cloud or on private or public cloud, AWS, or on like OpenStack or whatever. Once you've got it configured, the rest is like the same. And you can do all the scaling up and like any of the other features that are implemented for the charm. So the OpenSearch charm is still very much a work in progress, and it's an open source application. So there's a lot that is like still to do. We have a roadmap, and some of the stuff that we're currently working on is integration with like the observability charms, a charm for the dashboard so that the OpenSearch instance there can actually have a nice dashboard and you can use that and set it up with Juju. We're going to have it so that all the core plugins and some of the KNN plugins can be configured simply by doing Juju config enable name of the plugin, and it'll be like literally that simple to get it up and running. You don't have to worry about actually manually going in and configuring the plugin itself. Juju takes care of all of that. You can like even define it in YAML before you set up the OpenSearch instance. Just say which plugins you want to be deployed, and it'll be as simple as that. There's also some large-scale clustering work that we're doing at the moment. So you'll be able to have the Juju will manage multiple large clusters of OpenSearch nodes and sort of relate those together in a way that it would normally be done in production. And we're also working on the backups system. So as you can tell, there's still work to do. And because this is an open source initiative, it's we've got like community, and if you would like to get involved, please do. We're like, if you're passionate about the DevOps side of like OpenSearch and getting it deployed, then we want your help. And we can build this like really cool thing that will allow you to just deploy OpenSearch without worrying about any of the internal details of it. Another cool thing that the OpenSearch charm has is that it basically should always be on the latest version of OpenSearch, and that works because the place the charm actually gets the OpenSearch installation from, like the actual blob of OpenSearch from, is the OpenSearch snap, and the OpenSearch snap is kept very much up to date with like the latest version. It's simply a matter of basically all of the sort of update features are automatic, so that when a new version of OpenSearch is released by Amazon, then it's put into the snap candidate channel. That's checked over by an engineer at Canonical, and then like a few days, hours or days later, it's in the like main stable channel, and that's it. Like, and then that's automatically in the charm as well. So you have a working like OpenSearch and like almost like as up to date as you can get it version of OpenSearch in the charm. You can get the snap on its own as well, and that's like a bare bones version of OpenSearch. But it's kind of designed for going inside this charm. We also have a Kubernetes charm in the works, but that's not out yet either. And yeah, so all of this is open source. And if you would like to get involved or learn more, please scan this QR code, and this will take you to actually the tutorial for what I've shown you. So you can have a go yourself on your own laptops. And from there you can find all the information about getting involved and how to become a member of the sort of charming team or community on Charm Hub. And yeah, that's the end of my talk. So thank you very much.